Tired of life just happening to you? Sick of your daily routine and want to experience real progress? Tired of cheap hacks and skeptical about anyone trying to give you their 10-cent motivation? Welcome to the ABCs for Purposeful Living podcast, the place that takes the bedrock foundational principles of success and breaks them up into smaller rocks that you can take and use for your own construction, as you build the life of your dreams the way that you want it. Stop living by default. Get busy designing. Let the podcast begin. David Thurmer is an award-winning transformational life coach, leadership expert, and speaker. He's worked with over 100,000 people across 34 countries for the past 10 years, helping them to experience major change in their lives and to implement habits and rituals to ensure that the progress is lasting. Through his immersive seminars, live events, and coaching retreats, he makes you shake down your life, beliefs, and habits to their foundations in order to help you build a more intentional and powerful future. It's these foundations that he is bringing to you week by week in these podcasts, with the goal of helping you, wherever you may be, to get a hold of your life and turn it into something amazing. Welcome to the ABCs of Purposeful Living podcast.
Hey friends out there, how are you doing? Welcome to another episode of the ABCs of Purposeful Living. My name is David Thurmer, and I am so happy to be back here with you once again. And I couldn't be happier than I am right now for the topic that I have to talk about this week, which is the second foundational principle of success: B for belief. Now, I want to start out by sending a quick shout out to everyone out there right now listening in on this podcast. I just want to take a minute to tell you that I personally think that you are awesome. And I mean that from the bottom of my heart. You are awesome. Whoever you are, no matter where you come from, no matter your background, no matter your age, no matter what you've done up to this point or what you haven't done to this point, you are awesome. You are amazing. You are an incredible human being, one full of potential, full of possibility, one full of power to take control of this world and to make it into something great for you and something great for your family, something great for your friends, something great for your community, and something great for the world all around you. Every single person listening in on this call right now has the ability and the potential to change this world for the better, to change their lives for the better, to change history for the better, to leave an undeniable impact on this world. And so I just want to say to you, whoever you are right now, that you are awesome. And say it with me right now. I am awesome, because you are. Deep down within your soul, deep down within your spirit, deep down within your heart, deep down within inside of your core nature, there are the bedrock seeds of potential that, when tapped into and released out in this world, can change this world and make it into an absolutely incredible place for everyone. I believe in you. I believe in your potential. I believe in your awesomeness, and I believe that you have an incredible and wonderful future to look forward to, no matter what your present is right now. You know, you might look at yourself and you might say, how can I accomplish anything? You might look at yourself and say, what are you talking about? Me? There's no way that I can amount to anything. You might look at your circumstances and say, there's no way that I could do anything in here. And you might look at your thoughts and your ideas and say, well, there is absolutely nothing in my head of usefulness or of worth that could possibly be channeled into anything worthwhile or anything that can make a difference to people or to this world in general. Well, let me tell you something. Everything that is in existence today was once thought to be impossible. Let me say that again. Everything that was in existence today was once thought to be impossible before. I mean, you name it. The telescope, the electric light, the calculator, discovery of the laws of the universe, chemistry, the computers, microscopes. Everything that you have right now in your house today that you enjoy and that make your life simpler is something that was once considered to be impossible. Every person that has gone on to do something great in this world at one point was considered to be nothing, or that they would never amount to anything. Yet they went on to change the world. And the things that they made, the things that they invented, the things that they brought into this world, what everyone once upon a time told them was impossible, now turned around and changed this world, made it even better, made this world a easier place to live, and benefited countless lives up until this point, and will continue to benefit lives around the world. Everything that is in existence right now was once upon a time thought to be impossible. People said, how can you pick up a device and talk over a wire to people across the other side of the world? How can you put your computer into your hand? How can you click on a button and capture an image? It's impossible. How can you flip a switch and what's dark becomes light? It's impossible. Everything that we have today was once thought to be impossible by somebody else. What brought it about? A person's belief. Someone believing that something could be done and refusing to give up until they saw it through. Every person that made something great out of their lives was once upon a time a nobody and a nothing. What changed it? A deep-rooted belief that they could amount to something, and a refusal to give up until they did. Folks, part of the bedrock foundation of your success is going to be your belief, which is why the second principle that we are going to address today is B for belief, because you have to start with belief. Without belief, nothing is possible. But get this, an incorrect understanding of belief, or even the wrong beliefs, will also make your success impossible. Because belief is kind of a paradox, believe it or not. There is a paradox between the necessity of belief and the problem of belief. Now, what do I mean when I say the necessity of belief and the problem of belief? I'm just going to take a minute to state it out for you. The necessity of belief. Without belief, you cannot accomplish anything. If you don't truly and deeply believe in something with all your heart, if you don't make something your sole focus and sole obsession, where your every single thought is towards it, you will not have the strength to accomplish it. That's a necessity of belief, where nothing can dissuade you, nothing can hold you back, nothing can turn you aside from the thing that you have decided to do. Your heart is set on it, your focus is locked into it, and you are powering through it in order to experience success. However, there's also the problem of belief, and that is when you have convinced yourself of the wrong things, when you have created false realities in your mind that hold you back from going after the things that you want, the things that you desire, the things that will bring about your overall success. And so, it is a paradox. A paradox where you can't accomplish anything without belief, but you can't accomplish anything with the wrong beliefs as well. All of life, then, is the process of unlearning and relearning. Unlearning the beliefs that have got you locked into a certain place, so that way you can learn the beliefs that will help you to move out of there and into the new level of life where you want to go. It's time to unlearn the things that have held you into place and relearn the things that are going to take you into the future. This is the paradox of belief, and this is what we are going to go through in our podcast today. And I invite you to join me for the next little while that we have together as we dig through this paradox and open your eyes to all that is possible, all that can be, and all that will be, if you make the decision to step into belief and on it with that deep, unquenchable, unshaking faith in the right things to move you forward into a wonderful future, to move you forward towards an incredible destiny, to move you forward into the life that you desire and the life that you dream about. How are we going to do this? Let's discuss it together. Some time ago, there was a young man named George Dantzig. Now, George Dantzig was attending college in the U.S., and he woke up a little bit late one morning, and so he came into his classroom about 5 minutes too late. Not wanting to miss anything, he quickly ran in, ducked in the door, sat at his desk, and wrote down the sum that his math teacher had written on the board, thinking that that was his homework. He went back home and started trying to figure it out. He realized it was very complex. He couldn't make much sense of it, but he was already late for his class. That was already counted against him. The last thing he wanted to do was to fail in his homework and have that counted against his record as well. And so for the next 2 weeks, he puzzled over and over and over and over and over on this question until finally he hit upon what he felt was the right answer. And he filled it in, and then the next day, in the evening, he dropped off his paper. The next morning at 4 a.m., he was woken to a phone call by his excited teacher, who was nearly shouting with excitement. "How did you do that? How did you figure it out?" What George Dantzig did not know was that before he had walked into the classroom, his professor had written the problem on the board and declared to everyone that this was a mathematical formula that even Einstein couldn't figure out. And he had written it out as an example of improbabilities and how there are some things that we just won't be able to answer. George Dantzig, in 2 weeks, had cracked a mathematical equation that even Einstein couldn't figure out. Why? Because he did not know that he couldn't do it. As I said before, everything in existence today was once considered impossible. Solving that equation was considered impossible. Had he been told that it was impossible, he would never have tried to figure it out. But because he did not know that it was impossible, and he thought that it was something that he had to figure out, he sat down for 2 weeks and cracked the hard math that even the greatest mind of all time could not do. Let me ask you a question right here and now. Imagine what you could accomplish if you believed that you were capable of anything. What would you personally accomplish if you believed that you were capable of doing anything, being anything, becoming anything, accomplishing anything? What would you truly do? If you allow yourself a moment to dream, you will realize that there is so much possibility. There are great vistas of opportunity that you have maybe closed yourself off to because you have thought that it is impossible, or you have thought that it is something that you cannot personally do. But let me tell you something. Just because it's considered impossible doesn't mean that it can't be done. There was a famous study done in a classroom by Robert Rosenthal, who was a Harvard psychologist, and Lenore Jacobson, who was a San Francisco school principal. And they give us a very good illustration about expectations, about belief. They asked this question before they began a study. Do some people perform poorly because they are expected to do so? Or do some people perform better because their expectations are different? This was the question that Robert Rosenthal and Lenore Jacobson had, and so they decided to test it in a school classroom. And so they asked themselves, is it possible that some kids are doing better or doing worse because of the expectations that the teachers put on them? And if that's the case, then raising the teacher's expectations should raise the children's performances as well. So when the new school year started, a group of kindergarten through 5th grade pupils were given a learning ability test. And the next fall, when the school opened, the teachers were casually given the names of 5 or 6 children in each new class who were designated as intelligent. The test supposedly revealed that they had exceptional learning ability. What the teachers did not know was that the test results had been rigged, and that the name of those quote-unquote intelligent children had been chosen completely at random. At the end of the school year, all the children were retested, with some incredible results. The pupils who the teachers thought had the most potential actually scored far ahead, and had gained as many as 15 to 27 IQ points. The teachers described these children as happier, more curious, more affectionate than average, and having a better chance of success later in life. Get this, the only change for the year was the change in the attitudes of the teachers. Because they had been led to expect more of certain students, those children came to expect more of themselves. And because they expect more of themselves, they came to do more, to be more, and to accomplish more. Nothing set the children apart at the beginning. The only difference in what made them smarter, and what made them more brilliant, what made them more academically sound, and what made them more lined up for success later on in life was just a change of expectation, just a change of belief, a belief that they are worth something, a belief that they can accomplish something, a belief that there is nothing that they cannot do if they put their mind to it and try to succeed. And so, let me ask you again, imagine what you could accomplish if you believed that you were capable of anything. Because let me tell you, you are capable of anything. Tucked deep inside your soul is the exact same potential, is the exact same power, is the exact same abilities that any hero that you admire has. Now, I'm not going to spend a lot of time talking about this because I'm going to address this in depth next week when I start talking about capabilities versus capacity, but I just want to let you know that within yourself, within you as a human being, you, the person that is sitting down right now listening to this podcast wherever you are, whether you're on a run, whether you're on your morning commute, whether you're having your cup of coffee, wherever you're listening to this podcast, I want you to know that within you is everything you need to be happy, to be successful, and to make a lasting difference. The only thing that we need to do, the only thing that you need to do, is to believe in it, and then act upon that belief. A number of you are probably shaking your heads at me. A number of you are probably rolling your eyes, saying this is some old motivational jargon we've heard so many times, and I do not believe it because I have not seen it happen. A number of you may be even tempted to shut the podcast off and switch over to something else. Bear with me. To those of you who are rolling your eyes at this, to those of you who are saying, this is not me, this is not for me, this is applicable to other people. For For those of you who say, yes, but you don't know my situation, you don't know my circumstances, you don't know what I've been put in, you don't know how I've tried and how I failed, how can you actually believe and try to tell me that I am capable of anything and that I can accomplish anything and that I can really do anything? To you, I just want to ask this one question. When did you start doubting your calling? When did you start doubting your strength? When did you start doubting your ability? Take a moment to pause. When did it start? When was the moment that you started telling yourself that I can't do this? This is impossible. When was the moment that you allowed a negative belief to enter and rob you of the power of positive belief? I'm going to say it again because I want you to answer this question for yourself. When did you allow the negative belief to enter and rob you of the power of positive belief? If you at this moment are doubting your calling or doubting your strength and doubting your abilities, when did that start? Because every limiting belief, every limiting mindset, everything that pulls us away from doing what we are purposed for and what we are designed for is a limiting belief. And you need to know when that started, because it had a starting point. And this has been proven time and time again in the scientific community through tests. I'm going to tell you 2 stories of experiments that were conducted by psychologists and by scientists, and I hope that by the end of these 2 stories you'll be able to unpack it with me and see how it applies to your life. Some years ago, scientists from a very prestigious university were trying to figure out how limiting mindsets are formed. And so what they did was they gathered together a group of monkeys and they put them in a cage. 4 monkeys, 1 cage. Now, in the middle of the cage, they would hang a bunch of bananas. Seeing the bananas, the monkeys would rush out from the corner of the cage and try to grab the bananas. However, as soon as one of the monkeys touched a banana, the psychologists would turn on a hose and all the monkeys would be drenched with freezing cold water. The first time the monkeys saw the bananas, they all rushed out of their spot and tried to jump for it. Immediately the hose came on, and the monkeys shrieked and yelled as they ran back to the corner, totally drenched and freezing cold. They sat in the corner for a few minutes, teeth chattering and muttering to one another. But soon their aversion to the cold and the wetness was done away by their natural desire for bananas. Now, this is a very deep desire. It's a desire that stems beyond that particular monkey. It comes from years and years and years and years and years and centuries and millennia of their ancestors going after bananas. And that was passed on down through their very DNA. And so, even after being drenched after a few minutes, they could not contain it any longer. All of them ran to grab the bananas. Same result. The hose was turned on, the monkeys were drenched, and they all ran back to the corner. More shivering, more muttering. They tried it a 3rd time. Same results. Cold water, and they ran back to the corner, still shivering and still muttering. But this time, after 3 failed attempts, they did not try again. They just sat in the corner, shaking and muttering. 10 minutes passed. 15 minutes passed. 20 minutes passed. An hour passed. No monkey made an attempt to go after the bananas. The psychologists had found a way to break their inherent nature. But the experiment was not finished. The psychologist removed one of the original monkeys and placed a brand new monkey inside the cage. Now there were 3 old monkeys and 1 new one. The 1 new one, as soon as he saw the bananas, ran to grab them, except he was unable to do so, for the other 3 monkeys grabbed a hold of him, yanked him back into the corner, and began to beat him and bite him and scratch him. This monkey is totally confused. He doesn't know why he is being attacked so ferociously for just wanting to go get the bananas, just wanting to do something that is there within his innate nature, within his default setting. However, he goes back and sits in the corner, because now a greater impulse than his impulse to feed has taken over, his impulse to survive. He doesn't want to be beaten anymore, and so he sits in the corner, along with the 3 original monkeys, staring at the bananas, but having no idea why he can't go and get it. The psychologists come again and take out another of the original monkeys and place another new one in, and this time they are astonished. As the new monkey looks up and decides to run for the bananas, he is once again grabbed, dragged back to the corner, and beaten. But this time, the new monkey, who had been beaten in the first place, joins in with the other monkeys in beating the new one. He has no idea why he can't go get the bananas, and he has no idea why he's now beating this other monkey for trying to get the bananas. All he knows is that banana equals beating. You try to get it, you will be attacked. And so if this newcomer is going to try to do it, I'm going to stop him, and I'm going to attack him as well. The psychologist repeated this pattern by removing, over time, the last 2 monkeys and placing them with 2 more new ones, with the same results, until finally, by the end of the experiment, there were 4 brand new monkeys who had never been sprayed by cold water, who had no idea that they would get drenched if they went to get the bananas. They had no idea why the bananas were out of their reach, but these 4 monkeys still sat in the corner, muttering to themselves. The bananas were right there within their reach. They had no idea for why they could not get them. All they knew was that no one attempted to, and it could not be done. There was another experiment done, and this experiment is as old as the hills. This experiment has been done over thousands of years by people living in India and people living through other parts of Southeast Asia, in places where they use elephants for work. Now, I grew up in India. I spent a lot of time out in the jungles and out in the places of southern India where they use elephants for work. If you go to places like Kerala, you go to places like Goa, you go to places like Mysore, or you go up to Nepal, you go to places like Chitwan, or you go towards Thailand, and you go to any of the nature reserves there, they have elephants working. You go towards Myanmar or Burma, and you will find elephants working on the teak plantations, carrying loads of sometimes upwards of 1 ton. These elephants weigh anything from 4 tons to 8 tons. That's 6,000 pounds, upwards to nearly 12,000 pounds. These are monstrous, powerful, mammoth creatures. However, if you ever see them in their enclosures, after they finished a long day of work, carrying around huge logs and moving huge loads, they go to their enclosure and they are tied with very small chains and very small ropes. How are they able to be restrained? How can someone as weak and as puny as their mahouts keep such a large and powerful animal docile. Let me tell you how. When the elephant is very small, about 3, 4, 5, 6 months old, its training begins. And the mahout will take the elephant and tie a great big chain around its neck and stick it into a stake in the ground. And the elephant will try to fight it. The elephant will pull on it. The elephant will yank on it. The elephant will bite it. The elephant will push against it. The elephant will do everything in its power to try to get off the chain, but it can't because it's only a small baby. And so it does not have the capability to break away from the great big chain. It tries this for a few days. It tries this for a week. It tries this for a few weeks. And finally, something clicks, and the elephant just gives up. The elephant quits. It stops fighting. After this, it firmly believes that it can never break free. The rope is too strong. The chain is too powerful. And from this point forward, the mahout can use even a very small rope or a very small chain, that if the elephant just broke into a run, it would snap with ease. But the elephant never attempts to, because it firmly believes that that rope and that chain can never be broken because it tried before and failed. Both the elephant in this story and the group of monkeys in the story before give us examples of what scientists call neuroplasticity. Have you heard of this word before? It's called neuroplasticity, the science of the connection of your brain cells. Whenever your brain links up a certain event with a certain thought pattern, it literally creates new connections in your brain. And after that, your thought processes will only flow in that particular direction, in that particular funnel. What happened to the monkeys was that they firmly believed from that point they could never touch the bananas, even though they had no idea why. Their basic instinct for survival had been changed through neuroplasticity, and instead they had abandoned their deep instinct for food for a fear of the unknown. The elephant, the powerful and incredible creature, through neuroplasticity, formed new connections into his brain to where it firmly believed that it was not strong enough to break away from its human handlers, was not strong enough to break away from its ropes and its chains and to be free. And so for the rest of its life, it remained in captivity. Neuroplasticity is a real thing, my friends, and it's not reserved for animals alone. It's not reserved just for the monkeys. It's not reserved just for the elephants. It is as active in your life and my life and in the lives of every person that you know. And so being aware of it and being aware of the connections that you are making in your brain is very, very essential. Being able to make anything out of your life, if you're not aware of it, and if you don't know what belief systems are pushing you forward and what belief systems are holding you back, you will always be stuck in the place where you are in right now. What is the most powerful force in the universe? You know what it is? The most powerful force in the universe is the need for a person to stay consistent with how they define themselves. What is the story that you're telling yourself? What is your definition for why you can do things or can't do things? What is the internal dialogue that is going inside your head? What is the identity that you have created for yourself? Because you will absolutely follow through with what or who you believe that you are. I'll say that again. You will absolutely follow through with what or who you believe that you are, because we have a wonderful thing in our brain called the reticular activating system, or the RAS. Before I start explaining what this is, I just want you to remember that we are cognitive beings. We are sentient beings. And while we may not understand a lot of what is going on inside us or in the world around us, a lot of it is controlled by the things that go on in our head. And so, an intimate understanding of the workings of our brain can lead us into a better and more powerful and intentional life, because then we will be making the correct decisions and taking the correct steps in life. We will be letting go of the things that are holding us back and focusing on the things that pull us forward, releasing the old negative beliefs and instead clutching on to the new and powerful ones. What is the reticular activating system? I'm going to give you a couple of facts that are going to shock you. You ready for it? The average human being has 60,000 thoughts a day. Just let that sink in. The average human being has 60,000 thoughts a day. Now you're going to say, what? No, that's impossible. I don't have 60,000 thoughts a day. That is absolutely ridiculous. I can only consciously think of maybe 200 or 300. Someone who's a bit more attentive to their thoughts can probably think of only 400 or 500. So who's right? Are you right or am I right? Guess what? We're both right. Why? The reticular activating system. You have 60,000 thoughts a day. However, only about 200 to 500 of those thoughts become conscious. Why? Because the reticular activating system working along with neuroplasticity. If you've gone to a doctor's office anywhere in a third world country where big pharma is a big business, you will notice that on certain days, at a certain time, the entire waiting room will be full of medical representatives. If you've seen this before, you'll know what I mean. Around 2 or 3 o'clock in the afternoon, just before the doctor's visiting hours are over, there'll be a whole line of medical representatives wearing their cheap ties, with their cheap cologne, their same sling-on bag, most of them with a pair of glasses on, all sitting there waiting for an opportunity to go and see the doctor to pitch the new medicine that they have to offer. At any given time, in any given hospital, there could be at least anywhere from 15 to 30 of these representatives sitting in the lobby waiting for an audience with the doctor. I have seen in some hospitals up to 50 people sitting in that lobby waiting for admission. However, not all of them get inside and see the doctor. Who decides who goes in and who doesn't? The secretary. The secretary takes a look and sees, okay, this person looks like someone that I've seen before. This person looks like someone who the doctor's interested. This person meets the doctor's profile most. This person actually has something for that representing this company and we're interested in this company. And so the secretary will select anywhere from 2 to 5 or 6 people and send them into the doctor's office. The secretary will send the rest home. And the doctor will see the medical representatives that have been selected for him, and he will make an educated decision. Now the doctor thinks that he has made the best decision based on what was brought to him and by a complete knowledge of all available sources. But that is actually incorrect. He has made a decision based on those who were sent to him by his or her secretary. The reticular activating system is your brain's secretary. It is what filters through the 60,000 thoughts and brings up your 200 to 500 conscious thoughts. This is real science. Have you ever noticed when you see an advertisement for a new pair of clothes on television and you say, oh, I like this pair of clothes, let me go buy them, and you buy that particular shirt or that particular dress. You go out that night, you see 5, 6 other people wearing the exact same shirt or the exact same dress, and you're like, why? Why is that so? I thought I was the only one. You want to know why? Reticular activating system. They were always there, you just did not notice them. If you go and test drive a new car, a brand new car, one you've not seen before but you're so excited for it, you go and you test drive it. As you're going back home that day, you will see 4 or 5 others of these cars on the road. Why? Because now you are noticing them. Your reticular activating system has been sensitized to them because your brain has told it that this is now important to you. And so because of that, now your brain is looking for things in your situations, in your circumstances, in your surroundings to tie in with this new information. If you ever found that when you start worrying, you have 100 things to be worried about, and you can't think of one thing to be grateful for. But when you start being grateful, you'll think of 100 things to be grateful for, and nothing to be worried about. You know why that is? Because you are telling your brain secretary, I need you to go look for this. And so your brain is going and looking for it and finding all the things that link up to it. When you are chasing after a dream, when you are chasing after something that you want to accomplish, when you are chasing after success, if you are not sensitizing your brain, if you are not sensitizing your reticular activating system with the things that you are looking for, if you are not telling yourself the right story, but if instead you have rewired your brain to a negative place, you will not be successful. You will not do the things that you have been designed for. You will not see any way out of your particular set of circumstances, and you will always feel like a victim because there is no opportunity, there is nowhere for me to go, there is no way for me to get over this. And that will be true, not because there are no options available, but because your brain is not trained to look for them. Not because there is no way around it or out of the circumstances. Your brain is not trained to look for it. And that is why it is so important, the stories that we tell ourselves. It is so important, the things that we tell our brain. If you want to learn more about this, I encourage you to get a hold of a very powerful book called The Lies That We Believe, written by a man named Dr. Chris Thurman, who is a clinical psychologist. And in his book, he talks about the lies that we believe and how the stories we tell ourselves either empower us or afflict us, either enable us to step out into the new or hold us stuck back deep into the old, because the most powerful force in the human body, the most powerful force in a human psychology, the most powerful force in the whole universe is the need for us to be consistent with the stories that we tell ourselves and with the identity we have for ourselves. That is why the person who tries to quit smoking and believes they're a smoker will never stop smoking. And I've faced this time and time again in my career as a life coach and as a transformational coach and as someone who does counseling for people all over the world. Like I said, I've worked with over 100,000 people across 34 countries, and I've seen this come up so many times. Someone will come to me and say, I want to quit smoking. And I'll say, have you tried? Yes, I've tried quitting smoking before. I've tried 4 or 5 times. And I'll be saying, really, why? Then why didn't it work? Oh, because I'm just a smoker. It's just who I am. I have smoked a lot before, and smoking is just something that I do. Smoking is a way of being distracted from things. Smoking is a way that gives me stress relief, and I guess I'm just a smoker. You can bet that that person will never quit smoking in their life, because their identity is tied into the fact that they are a smoker, and the reason they are smoking is to escape from difficulties, to escape from pain. They don't associate the smoking with pain. They associate the smoking with pleasure as a way to escape from the pain. As psychologists have said, all of life is either running towards pleasure and running away from pain. If smoking is your way of escaping pain, and finding pleasure. And if being a smoker is the story that you told yourself is your identity, you will never stop, because that is the story that you tell yourself. That is the identity that you hold to. That is where your neuroplasticity is gone, and that is where your reticular activating system is working towards, and that is why you will not change it. It's the same people who have a hard time losing weight. But I'm always hungry. No, you're not. But you think you can't live without food, and so your brain is always bringing up food to you. Your reticular activating system is only looking for food and bringing thoughts of food into your brain, or highlighting the food wherever you go, because that's what it's trained. Because your identity is that I am always hungry, I always need to eat. Eating is your source of pleasure, not the cause of your pain. Do you see how the stories you tell yourself, do you see how the identity that you have formed for yourself sabotages you? You need to get your brain sensitized in the right way. You need to start forming the right beliefs, because the behavioral funnel, whether you realize it or not, is running your life. What is the behavioral funnel? How does the behavioral funnel work? Have you ever seen how two people can be in the same situation and react completely differently? They'll have different reactions, they'll have different emotions in the exact same place, in the exact same situation, in the exact same circumstance, even if they've had the exact same upbringing. Why is this? There's a very beautiful field of study called cognitive behavioral therapy. If you get a chance and you're interested in it, do some research into it. Or if you really want to and you have time on your hands, do a course in it, because it'll help you to understand yourself, it'll help you to understand others, it'll help you to understand the world so much better. But basically, cognitive behavioral therapy teaches us that behavior is caused by emotions. When you're happy, you react in a certain way. When you're sad, you react in a certain way. When you're hungry, you react in a certain way. When you're angry, you react in a certain way. However, each of those emotions are caused by thoughts, and those thoughts stem from your deep-rooted belief system. And the belief system will always produce the same thoughts. And those thoughts will always produce emotions. And those emotions will always produce the behavior. So when push comes to shove, no matter what situation you are in, you will always act consistently with your emotions, which are consistent with your thoughts, which are consistent with your belief. And so that is why whenever we work with a person who has troubles, throughout the years when I was working as a counselor for schools and I was helping to train teachers, the number one thing that we tell them would be, do not try just to deal with a child's behavior or just to deal with a child's emotions, because the problem is so much deeper than that. Over the past few years, when I've been working with offices and companies, and people have come to me and they're saying, why is it that we can give two people the same salary, we can give them the same job, we can put the same workload on them, we can give them the same incentives, we can put them in touch with the same customers, and one person will have an emotional breakdown and the other person will get a promotion and just do so much better? Why is that? They're having the same opportunities. One guy's closing the deals, one guy's succeeding, the other guy's not. Why? Why was their behavior different? Why was their emotions different? Because their belief system was different. And it is your beliefs that give you your thoughts. It is your thoughts that give you your emotions. It is your emotions that cause your behavior. And so it is so important to look at your beliefs and say, what are the limiting mindsets that I have about myself? When did I start thinking like this? When did I start believing this about myself? When did I start putting limitations in place? Many years ago, the famous speaker and writer Norman Vincent Peale was walking through the streets of Hong Kong, and out of curiosity, he entered a tattoo shop, and he picked up a book and began flipping through all the designs that were there. There were dragons, there were skulls, there were butterflies, there were gods and goddesses, very beautiful, incredible prints. However, one particular tattoo caught his eye, and Norman was shocked to find 3 words that can be used as a tattoo. These 3 words were this: born to lose. Norman couldn't believe it. Why on earth would someone want those 3 words tattooed on their skin? Born to lose? In shock, he turned around and asked the tattoo artist, "Are there really people who get this tattooed on them?" The tattoo artist said, "Yes, a few of them." Norman said, "Why? Why would people want to have such a horrible statement tattooed onto them?" And the Chinese man, in his broken English, said to Norman, "Before tattoo on body, tattoo on mind. Before tattoo on body, tattoo on mind. Before you accept that there is no hope for you, you have to believe it first. And when you believe it, your actions follow. If you believe that there is no hope, if you believe that there is no future, if you believe that there is no positive outcome, if you believe that there is no way that you could possibly make a difference, that there is no way that you could possibly succeed, that there is no way that you could possibly amount to anything, let me tell you, you will not succeed. You will not make a difference. You will not amount to anything. However, here's the good news. Neuroplasticity can be used for good as well. Just as your brain can be wired in the wrong way, it can also be rewired into the positive. It can also be rewired towards the truth. Just as your reticular activating system can only focus on the negative in your life, it can also focus on the positive. Just as your behavioral funnel can lead to negative actions because of negative emotions, because of negative thoughts, because of your negative belief. If you switch over your belief to a positive one, if you switch over your core and fundamental beliefs into the right, powerful, impactful, and truthful reality, you will start experiencing change. You will start seeing vistas of possibility open to you that you never knew before. Your brain will start rewiring towards empowering your life, and you will start finding new opportunities to do new things that you have never done before. All it takes is unlearning the old so that you can learn the new, of exposing the negative stories that you've told yourself, the lies that you believe and that you have in your brain. So how do you start? You got to start with what we said last week, awareness. Look at your life. What are the lies that you've been telling yourself? What are the negative beliefs that you have been telling yourself? What are the limiting mindsets that you've put into place? What is the place that you turn back from at every time? When did you start doubting your calling, your strength and abilities? And imagine what you could accomplish if you believed you were capable of anything. Find ways to align yourself with truth. Find ways to align yourself with things that are actually going to help you succeed. I want to tell you this right now. At the end of the day, everything comes down to your choice. What are you going to choose to believe? What are you going to choose to focus on? That will determine your reality, and that will determine your outcome. If you feel you need help with this, get in touch with us. We'd love to help you. Find yourself a coach. Doesn't have to be me. Doesn't have to be anyone from my team. It could be anyone that you know or trust. Find someone who could help you. Find yourself a therapist. Find yourself someone who knows about cognitive behavioral therapy. Someone who can help you realign your neuroplasticity and to find ways to refresh your reticular activating system. Find good, powerful, impactful books like The Lies That We Believe by Dr. Chris Thurman and other ones like that. Books that expose the things that you've been telling yourself and give you more powerful beliefs and truths to hold on to. Let me tell you, anything is possible if you believe it, because everything is possible. Just because it hasn't been discovered yet does not mean it won't. As the old Cherokee grandfather told his grandson when he was asked about the meaning of life, he said, "All of life is a great struggle between 2 wolves. One wolf is the embodiment of everything evil and destructive, and the other wolf is the embodiment of everything of light and creative. And every day, From the rising of the sun to the rising of the moon, these two wolves go to war inside your mind. And the grandson looked at his grandfather, the great wise chief, and said, "Oh, my grandfather, which wolf wins?" And the wise old grandfather looked at his grandson and said, "The one that you feed. That's the one who wins." Let me ask you, which wolf are you feeding? Because belief, as we said in the beginning, can work for you or work against you. Feed the right wolf. Build the right beliefs. Embrace the right truths. Embrace your true power, knowing that you were designed for greatness, that you can make a difference, that you will make a difference, that your life has worth and has meaning, and that you can accomplish anything you put your mind to if you are willing to fight, and if you are willing to not give up until you succeed. If you believe it and act on that belief, you will be a winner. You will be an overcomer. You will be a champion. You will be a hero, because that is your destiny, and that is what you were made for, and that is your power. I believe in you. It's time you believe in yourself. This is David Thurmer signing off. Join us next week for part 3, when we tackle C, capacity versus capability. Take care, and God bless.
Thank you for joining us today on the podcast. Please do subscribe for more. If you found this helpful, please share it with someone else. Pass the help along. David is always eager to hear from you and would love to work with you in a more hands-on way. For more information, please visit our website at www.davidthirimer.com. That's www.davidthirimer.com.